Then I started watching a TV show called The Curse. And this is with Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone. And I only watched it because of Nathan Fielder. I love Nathan Fielder. And I'm getting more and more convinced that Nathan Fielder might be one of the most creative geniuses of our time. If you're unfamiliar with him, he is actually from Vancouver. He's a Canadian. And his first show was, well, he was on, I think he was a correspondent on This Hour Has 22 Minutes, that Canadian news parody show from forever ago. I never really watched that. But then he made his own reality show called Nathan For You. And Nathan For You is great. It's basically, the concept of it is it's kind of like a mock reality show, but it is a reality show. And he basically finds people who own businesses who are struggling, and he finds a really strange, creative way to help that business grow and get more customers. But his solutions are always absurd. They're always insane. But they somehow work all the time. So it's a really funny show. And I love that show. And then he went on to do another show, which I did talk about on the podcast, called The Rehearsal. The Rehearsal is like half reality and half scripted, because it's almost Truman Show like, because, and I'll quickly go over this again, and yeah, it's worth watching because of how insane it gets. And there are a couple episodes where I'm like, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. But overall, I don't think it's that approachable. It gets a little, some episodes aren't as entertaining, and some of it's a struggle to get through, but I would say it's worth it for the gold. Like, you're going to be digging around finding rock and rubble through some of the episodes, but then occasionally you find these golden nuggets where it's like, man, that was so worth it. It has a disappointing finale, but basically The Rehearsal is he finds real people who have struggles. They're like, oh, I really want to, I want to be a public speaker, but I'm very afraid of public speaking. And so what he does is he sort of builds the situation. It's kind of like Facing Your Fear, but he rebuilds a fake representation of that situation. So if you want to give a speech for your work, your job's conference, like maybe you're a speaker for your job conference, he will recreate the entire building. Like, he literally builds your exact replica of your office, and then he will hire people that look like your coworkers to sit in the office and go about their day and sit there, and he'll study the real life people, like his real life coworkers, and then give lines. So it starts off simple, but then because he's Nathan Fielder, he goes to the extreme. So he'll like not only have these extras sit there just for the conference, and then have the guy train by speaking in front of these people, these paid actors, but he goes the extra mile by like building the entire building, paying the actors to not only sit there for the hour-long conference, but then to live as these people for an entire day or weeks kind of thing. And then he'll have them talk and look like the real coworkers, like the actors who are pretending to be his coworkers. He will pay them to look like them, dress like them, talk like them, by having them shadow the real people and just study them. So the actors are now studying real people to learn how to look and act and sound like his real people, so that when the guy rehearses his speech, he's rehearsing in front of the most realistic depiction of his reality, so that he can go and then do his actual thing and be well rehearsed for it. But the show throws some insane curveballs where it just keeps getting more and more out of control. So like the Truman Show like aspect of the fake world keeps getting bigger and bigger, to the point where Nathan has to start pretending to be a different person. It's such an Inception crazy thing, and so much weird stuff happens. I would say the concept sounds better than the actual execution of the show, because you can't control something like that. You can't script every moment because he's dealing with reality. But there are some moments that are super well worth it. And then comes The Curse. So this is his latest show, and this one looks the least and probably sounds the least appealing of his shows, and it's the most scripted. So I would say it is just a legitimate, real show. And but I have thoughts on it as well about what I think might be happening. But anyway, so the show is about Nathan Fielder. He actually plays a character, so he's not playing himself this time. It's a real scripted show. Him and Emma Stone are a married couple who are basically the hosts of a HGTV type of home renovation kind of show. So if you've ever seen those shows on HGTV where it's like a couple goes in and redoes someone's home, and then it's like a reality show kind of thing. So he plays the husband, and it follows them in I think it's in, I forget where it's located, but they basically take their idea are these like eco-friendly homes. They're made of like, the outside of them is made of like mirrors and glass, and everything is eco-friendly. It's like to the extreme, and they're trying to rebuild this whole neighborhood. And Emma Stone's character is very much, she starts off really wanting to capture, like really help the community, and capture these authentic moments, but they realize that kind of throughout the show, they're starting to I'm going to keep this spoiler free. I'm just kind of giving a broad sort of thing on the first couple episodes, maybe the first episode, but she kind of realizes like sometimes she has to bend the rules, like maybe get reactions that aren't genuine, just because she has to balance out making an actual show versus what she wants. And it's kind of relatable for any artist where it's like, okay, you want to do something that's true to the art, but then there's also the marketing and financial side where it's like, well, that's not going to sell. You need to have drama. And so to have drama, sometimes you have to make up stuff. So, and the show, the real show, The Curse, is directed by both Nathan Fielder and one of the Safdie brothers, who does like Uncut Gems, and the show looks awesome. I love how the show looks. It's very gritty, it looks very film-like. I would love to shoot something like it, and it actually feels something like close to, like it actually feels like on the level of like a Better Call Saul type of thing, like a Vince Gilligan. Like there's a lot of like. And this kind of bleeds into when I have a secret theory that the show is about something else. And basically there's a character in the show that, so a lot of the community is made up of like First Nation, like Native American types, and they comment on all the whole, like, you know, they had the land first and they're building these homes on this land and all that kind of stuff. And there's one of these indigenous people in the show is an artist, and she frequently seems to kind of mock or make fun of Emma Stone's character, or the type of character Emma Stone is portraying, which is like a very white liberal person who is like almost overly cautious and overly sensitive, to the point where she kind of like treats this artist extra special because she's First Nations, and she thinks like, oh, like that piece of art you made must be extra like ceremonial and very special, blah, blah, blah. But the artist is actually kind of mocking her all the time. Like she even has a friend that like this other indigenous guy who he always speaks like a chief. Like he's always like giving these weird bits of advice, and like these, he's openly mocking her, but she doesn't know it. As soon as Emma Stone's character leaves, he's just like, he goes back into his normal voice where he's like, hey, what's up? But whenever Emma Stone's around, he's like, oh, this food, like praise this food for being, you know, he's like going full on like voice and like playing up this whole thing. And they're kind of mocking that person who overly celebrates art, almost to a point where it's like, I think you're reading way too much into it. Anyway, it's kind of hard to explain, but my point of bringing that up is that part of me thinks that Nathan Fielder is making a point at shows like Better Call Saul and these artistic shows that seem to get a lot of praise. And I'm one of the people that kind of buy into this stuff. I love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I love all the metaphors and the artistic measures they take, but sometimes I do think, I'm like, are they actually that, like, is that artistic? Like, is that shot that goes on for 20 minutes with no dialogue and it's just abstract and weird, is that actually something, or is it just nothing? And there's just a lot of moments in the show where I feel like they're making a comment at those kind of shows where people celebrate them, but it's like, and it's like, almost, because I know Nathan Fielder is such a kind of like a troll, I feel like a lot of times I feel like this show might be a prank on the audience watching it this time. And he's almost saying that through the characters, like through this character and using Emma Stone, he's almost saying like, this is you. Like, you are the audience that is reading too much into art. And because there's a lot of moments in the show that reflect these artistic shows where like nothing happens, like nothing at all happens, and but they get celebrated. But I don't know. So, it must not have worked because the show didn't get great reviews at all by critics, or like people hated it. It seems I actually really love the show. I think it might be, I genuinely think it's a really good show, but I could see a lot of people being turned off from it because it does feel like one of those things where if you're not really invested in it, it might feel like nothing ever happens. But it's only 10 episodes long. It's on FX. You can get a free subscription trial period for a week and watch the whole thing at this point. But the reason I'm talking about it is because it has the most insane season finale of any show I've ever seen in my life. It is so, I don't know many people who've actually watched it, so I want to talk about it so bad with somebody because it is so insane. And maybe I'll talk about it more in a different episode, like once it's been out for a while, but it's so worth it to get to that final episode because it's so, you could never imagine, like the whole show is pretty normal and like it's very grounded, and then the final episode happens and it is so crazy, and it gets crazier and crazier as it goes on, and you're just like, is it gonna end this, like is it going this way? And it does. Like it is so nutty, and for that finale alone I would say it's so worth watching because it's just absolutely nuts. But overall I like The Curse. I think that Nathan Fielder is just a genius and a very, very creative person. I just think he has built himself a resume of products, from Nathan For You to The Rehearsal to this. They're just very original, and I love that. And it's this. I tweeted about this recently, where I feel like I'm at the same point with TV and movies that I am with video games, which is I would rather play a video game that's different and possibly not that great than a run-of-the-mill, usual AAA, really well made and just good game, but it's something I've done 1,000 times. Like I'm much more intrigued by the creativity and the uniqueness of something these days, and I feel that way with things like this TV show, The Curse, where it may not be for everybody. It may technically not even be good. I don't know. It depends on your taste, I guess, but it's so unique and creative that I just find myself drawn to that kind of stuff more than just another, sitcom or whatever it is, So that's The Curse, 10 episodes long. Check it out. I also watched Hey, thanks for listening to this clip of my podcast. I publish new episodes on the last Friday of every month at 12:45 p.m. PST for all premium members of my Patreon. My name is Cooper Bibo. I'm an actor, writer, and producer of film, television, and video games. Head to patreon.com/Cooper Bibo. You can sign up for free, get access to my blog, or you can toss me a few dollars if you want to support me and get special bonuses like this very podcast, or you can subscribe to my YouTube. You'll continue to get free clips and a brand new video every single Wednesday. So whether you like to watch, listen, or read, I've got something for everyone. I've also got a video game called Billy Saves the World. Please check that out on Steam right now. I've got movie projects in the works. I update all of that stuff in Discord all of the time. Again, the basic channels are free to join. Just head to patreon.com/Cooper Bibo to get access. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next clip.